Schlitz Creek. That's the nothing personal word of the day. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Cam Schlittler, the owner of any tavern in Schlitz Creek, any Rosebud Motel, he's now a famous Yankee. He was just a rookie. Please tell me that you have read or heard what happened in the Yankees-Red Sox game. Yesterday was a game of eliminations. 3 of them. 3 winner-go-homes. Someone said to me yesterday, Coca, it's a loser-go-home. No. Win or go home. And we're going to go through the games because there were interesting nuggets from each of the game. But I want to start with Schlitz Creek. I don't want to go through the stats yet because I want to build up what happened. The tension when the Yankees and Red Sox, the 2 most storied franchises in baseball, arguably, but the rivalry, certainly the most storied rivalry in baseball, arguably. Some of my octogenarians may talk about the Dodgers and the Giants, and I'm with you. I don't know what Mets fans would say, but Yankees, Red Sox. So I'm getting ready for the game. It's 8 o'clock is the start, 8:08. And it's 2 rookies starting, Connolly Early and Cam Schlittler. And I told you yesterday, not exactly what you want in a deciding game if you are the Yankees and the Red Sox. What an idiot I am. I'm going to show some grace to myself, except to say that when you're putting together your team, you don't want to be forced into the position to give the ball to rookies in an elimination game. Sometimes it works out great, no question. So watching the game, first inning, second inning, third inning, these 2 pitchers are going toe-to-toe. If you haven't watched Connolly Early pitch, you can ask Will Middlebrooks about him. His stuff is just nasty. He's a pitcher. He's got sweepers. He's got sliders. He's a lefty. He's got fastballs that can ride in. Somehow he has fastballs that are riding out and then dipping, spinning down to the back toe of righties. It's so good to watch. Yankee hitters were struggling with him. And then you've got Cam Schlittler, who to me looked like he was in his early teens. Schlittler is this handsome, tall, he reminded me of a right-handed Andrew Miller in a way. If you know, you know. But he just had this velocity. Throwing 100, 101, he was just dealing. And the Red Sox hitters were unable to catch up to it. It was changing planes enough that they were unable to square up on the ball. And they're just going back and forth. And you're thinking, is this really happening? Coca's texting me like, look at these. You said something to me, Coca, that I'd not heard before, the expression, and I felt old. You texted me that they are, I want to make sure I get it right. You used yes, you said they were dogs. And so my thought to that was, are they underdogs? What kind of dogs are they? I don't know what that means. And I actually asked someone, you texted, these kids are dogs in all caps. And I wrote back, amazing, because I assumed you meant that was good, but I had to call someone to ask what that meant because I just didn't know. And you were right. And then the 4th inning came and the Yankees got to early and got a 4-run lead, and that's all they needed. And this guy, Schlittler, kept going. Aaron Boone was not going to take him out after 6 innings, was not going to take him out after 7 innings. They put him back out there in a 4-run lead in the 8th. I wanted to see if a runner gets on, what are you going to do? Take him out? For sure, without a doubt. 7 pitches later, he's through the 8th inning. You don't have to make a big managerial decision. Now, for those of you who are saying that's all the manager, I want to remind you the conversations that go on before the game. You know your players. You don't think he's going to have the game of his life because why would you think that someone in an elimination game would do something that's never been done? The first pitcher in Major League Baseball to go 8 shutout innings with 12 or more strikeouts, 0 walks, 0 earned runs. It had not happened. Think about that. You don't expect that from anybody because it hadn't happened. And as you're watching it happen, one of the things we do before the game, one of the things on the piece of paper is not just the downside I've spoken to you about. 37 pitches in the first inning, strands 3 runners, no runs scored. Are we bringing him back out for the second inning? That comes up. 75 pitches through 2, only give up 1 run. That comes up. Being at 90 pitches through 7, stress at an absolute minimum. You dream about it. It's written. You rarely ever go to that part of the paper. But having the ability to have Schlittler come out in the 8th inning, and you already know 1 runner on by walk, by hit by pitch, by a Sinai ground ball that was hit 40 feet, that ridiculous hit that we saw against the Padres with Machado playing off the line, and one of the Cubs hit the ball not even to third base, but it was a base hit. I don't remember which game that was. It may have been yesterday. But whatever, that runner would have counted as being the end of Schlittler. But it didn't happen. He gets through the 8th inning, and dare we say complete game. He got off the mound, and Aaron Boone immediately said to him, that's it. They bring in David Bednar, the trade deadline acquisition from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I assume David misses Paul Skeens, but not that much. He closes out the game, and the Yankees win. Why is that an important series? Do you know how many home runs, and Coca, correct me, please, Aaron Judge in the 3 games, how many home runs did Aaron Judge hit? I think the answer to that is 0. How many home runs did Giancarlo Stanton hit? You'd think 1. Stanton thought 1. Stanton did something you don't often see, which is celebrate a home run that was not a home run, and then he got himself to second base and ended up scoring, and all's well that ends well with the Yankees. I could picture Giancarlo not after the game, because he would never do it in front of anyone, but certainly back home last night thinking to himself, I'm not going to do that again, because that is not Giancarlo Stanton. And I don't know if you saw the play, Coca, when he swings, we as fans or we as executives, when you're down low, there's a sound that we listen for. So if you are blind and you are listening to Vladimir Guerrero, to Mark McGwire, to Hanley Ramirez, to Giancarlo Stanton, there are certain people I've been able to listen to in my career that you don't need to see. You can hear it, and we would do this at Roger Dean Stadium. Side note, Coca, the game we would play in Jupiter is we would try to figure out batting practice home runs with masks on, because we were thinking about the sound and listening to the sound. And the players know their own sound as well. The players will tell you, oh, I hit that off the top of the bat. I hit that square off the label. I got sawed off. That's what they do for a living. They know. It's like a conductor thinking, oh, that stick is too short. So they just understand. And Stanton thought he got it. And for whatever reason, he didn't. What I love about Stanton and the leader that he is he gives you the quote after the game. And this is Giancarlo Stanton and why I love him so. Kids at home, don't do that. Future opponents, please do that. Bonehead play. Just glad it worked in our favor, and it won't happen again. The number of people who will tell you after they do something that it won't happen again is directly correlated to the number of times it will happen again. It is one of the great mysteries of apology and excuse making, unless you know the person. And yeah, you're telling me I have personal bias here. I have personal bias because I know the person. There are plenty of people, I know the people, and I would tell you, oh, that's a great quote. PR people got to him. Smart job. Believe me, that'll happen again. Not with Giancarlo Stanton. And I don't mean like again this postseason. I mean again the rest of his career. Period. Because when he says something like that, he means it. So the Yankees win, and I was taken, Coca, by the different tone of the on-field celebration. You see, the Yankees, after they won the game, they did their handshake line. There were smiles on the field. Aaron Judge was clapping with his glove. Very, very happy to be done. But winning the wild card series is not what it's about. The Yankees are about winning the ring. And I am not saying that the Tigers don't want to win the ring. They do. But when the Tigers beat the Guardians, their celebration on the field was the pileup, was the jumping up and down. Everyone's on a pile, gloves in the air. They won because they came back from the loss of game 2 and they beat the Guardians. Why do I have you note those two different kinds of celebrations? Because I had the very same issue myself. When we clinched a wild card berth, it was a pile celebration. We're in the clubhouse. We're doing champagne. We're covering up the lockers, no goggles, because we were not wussies back then. And we are celebrating like it is 1999. First round, we lose game 1 to the San Francisco Giants, who were the best team in 03. We win 3 in a row. The game ends with Jeff Conine throwing out JT Snow at the plate in the famous picture of Pudge Rodriguez holding up the ball and being tackled by Ugueth Urbina. Very happy. Jumping up and down. But in the clubhouse, a little beer, a little toast. Because even though we were young, it was our first time, we were greedy. Winning the division series, and that was not a wild card series, that was the division series. Winning the division series, that was before expanded playoffs, where everybody was playing in the first round. And as the one wild card team, and that's it, we were it. And as the wild card team, you play the best record of the division winners, which was the San Francisco Giants. I remember the thought process that was in my mind that day at Pro Players Stadium. It was, this is so cool, but I want to win the pennant. I hadn't thought about winning the World Series. It's, I want to win the pennant. That's something to celebrate. That's when your coaching staff goes to the All-Star game the next year. That's when you get a ring. When you win the pennant, you get a ring. Even so, that means the losers of the World Series, they still get a ring. It's a smaller ring, but it's a ring nonetheless, and that's what you play for. I want that feeling. So the Yankees go back into the clubhouse, and the first thing that they're thinking about, smartly so, is that they're now headed north of the border. They are playing the Toronto Blue Jays, who they matched game for game over 162, but lost the head-to-head, which is why the Blue Jays got the bye, and the Yankees didn't. When the Yankees go into this series, they look at their rotation and they say, wait a minute, if we have Fried, we have Rodon, now can we count Schlittler? And all of a sudden, we are 3 strong in a 1-2-3 scenario. Because remember, Schlittler pitched yesterday, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, regular rest. So the Yankees have to find how are they going to fill out their rotation, because they're not doing the schedules like they used to for the next round. And so Tuesday is game 3, because they have given the extra off day. So Schlittler can go game 3 of the division series on regular rest. So the Yankees have their rotation set up. Remember, Max Fried went game 1. Game 1 of the wild card was all the way back on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That means he'd be on short rest. So are they starting Max Fried in game 1 on short rest? Because then they'd have to start Carlos Rodon on short rest. That's 2 pitchers on short rest, and get Schlittler on regular rest. Or do they go with Warren? Do they go with a different pitcher? Do they go with a bullpen game? Now you're beginning to understand what went on within the owners' meetings when they were making the postseason schedule. We wanted to make sure, as we were developing all these things, even when I was in the game all those years ago, back in 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, thinking about wild cards, the incentive has to be to win the division. We didn't want to take that incentive away. The union was steadfast in their upset over expanded playoffs, thinking that owners would cut payrolls because they can sneak in through the back door with 83 wins. We said occasionally that's going to happen, but owners don't think that way. But what the union and the league agreed is that we're going to highly incentivize people to win the division. The negative of winning the division is you have a bye. You have days off. You have to do scrimmages. You have to stay sharp. The positive of winning a division and getting the bye is that your pitching is perfectly lined up, and the schedule of the wild card round makes it so your pitching definitionally is not going to be lined up. That is a huge advantage, at least in your head. As the owners are meeting and talking about it, as the union is talking about it, you're able to convince the union that's reason enough for us to motivate to win because we don't want upside down pitching rotations. But then you go through a postseason and you realize no matter what, at some point, your pitching is upside down because of the schedule that is October. Go look at the Game 1 starters of the 03 World Series that we were in. It was Brad Penny against, oh my God, Coca. I want to say it was David Wells, and I have no idea why. Oh, of course it was David Wells, because top of the first, Game 1, Yankee Stadium, Pierre gets on, Castillo gets him over, steals a base, gets him over, and then Pudge, sacrifice fly, 1-0 before the Yankee fans had taken their seats 2 days after Aaron Boone hit the Game 7 walk-off home run to beat the Red Sox in the 03 LCS. It was David Wells. That's upside-down pitching. Neither Wells nor Penny were the number one starters of their respective World Series teams. So one of the things that the Yankees will figure out is how they want to approach the division series. The Blue Jays don't have to figure that out. I don't even know why we got on that subject. That was a strange subject to get on. Oh, we were talking about what happens now. Let me do a post-mortem on the Yankees who are heading north today and on the Red Sox. Do you view the Red Sox season as successful? 3 minutes on this, Coca, and that's it, I promise. The Boston Red Sox came into the 2025 season under new leadership with Craig Breslau, fully expecting that they would have a playoff team. The Boston Red Sox leave the 2025 season having accomplished making the playoffs, even after trading Rafael Devers, which was much to the chagrin of the people who don't know anything. The Boston Red Sox are saying to themselves that we can build on this. We've got the pieces, we've got the farm system, we've got the absolute processes in place that this is what we wanted with Craig as our chief baseball officer. This is what we wanted with Alex Cora as our manager. We are exactly on the schedule that we're fine with. We're upset to have lost in the wild card round. No question about that. No one likes to win during the regular season and then be eliminated 72 hours later. That's obvious. But you're going to be one of the 29 teams. It's a matter of when, not if. But the Red Sox go into their offseason with proof of concept. And as a president of a team, that takes a tremendous amount of pressure off yourself when you're not spending the beginning of the offseason thinking, am I replacing the GM? Am I replacing the manager? What do we do to make up for what just happened? The Red Sox can say that next year we have this core of players. You add Roman Anthony. Don't forget that kid, that long-term contract kid who was unbelievable. They signed him. He got hurt. I think he hurt his pectoral muscle, something, and he was out during the playoffs. You have him back, and the Red Sox are in a position to be a problem in the American League East. So for the Red Sox, they're ready for February. They will change around the edges. They will watch Alex Bregman opt out, and then they'll re-sign him. I think we have a wait to see on that, Coca. You'll wait to see, and the Yankees move on. The other game that I focused on yesterday, well, I watched all three. I tried, actually. Anyway, whatever. It was the Padres Cubs. Something happened in the Padres Cubs game that you will never see again starting next season. I promise you. You will never see Xander Bogaerts get called out on a 3-2 pitch that was a ball in the ninth inning. You will never see the manager come out and lose his mind but not get ejected, although he should have gotten ejected. You will see the automatic ball strike system, the challenge system in place, and I am so thankful. If I am a Padres fan and I am watching that game and I know that I need ninth inning runs, I know that Tatis, Arias, and Machado cannot get a hit. I know that I need base runners. I need something. And instead I get a strikeout. You can imagine why the reaction of the Padres was what it was. Take a look at that. You don't see that every day. Let me explain what that was for those of you not watching on Nothing Personal with David Samson YouTube channel. We have, when we built a ballpark, you have an entrance for the umpires to get access to the field, and you've got players who get into the dugout directly from their respective clubhouses. In Chicago, this game was at Wrigley Field. The umpires access the umpires room by going down the dugout steps of the visiting team, because the umpire clubhouse is on the visiting side always, because the home side has extra weight rooms, it has extra sleep rooms and restrooms. You put most of your square footage, as much as you can, on the side where the home team is. Umpires and supplementary dressing rooms and guest green rooms and all sorts of stuff. You put it all on the visitor's side because the visitors' facilities are just not as nice. So these umpires had to walk right past the Padres dugout, through it, and at the end of the game. And the Padres players had to be held back. It looked as though they were rabid fans going after players from a hated rival, when in fact these were professional athletes who had just lost a game that, even if Bogaerts' call had been correct, there is no way to know they would have won the game. It was not that direct. It wasn't like a ball four would have forced in the winning run type of thing. It would have added a base runner, there's no question. It could have changed the inning, no doubt. Would it have made a difference? Who knows? But these Padres players were out of control. Do I think that Michael Hill will be forced to fine the organization and the players? I don't know whether he will, but I know I would. Those umpires were not safe. They had to be held back, the Padres players, by clubhouse staff. Of course, any new ballpark that's built, Wrigley Field's not new, any new ballpark, separate exits off the stadium, off the field for the umpires. But I do know that next year, that's done. What I know is that when Yu Darvish starts as a 39-year-old in an elimination game and gets pulled in the second inning because his leash is so small, and you realize the amount of money that he's being paid at his age, and you remember you can't pay pitchers who are in their upper 30s. When you put together an offense and you pay for a player like Luis Arias, you give a long-term deal to Tatis, to Machado, and then you realize that in a short series, they can take the collar in the games that you lose. If you take 2 games of collars and you only need to lose 2 games to be eliminated, and then it happens, you realize how crazy baseball is, which is why you can't be financially irresponsible. The Padres, who are financially responsible. Now, you want to get at me at David P. Samson. You want to get in the chat at Nothing Personal with David Samson and talk about the Padres' finances. Please, bring it. I will go through year by year and explain to you how it is that they lose more money than I can tell you and how they take temporary bridge loans to make payroll because their payroll is so irresponsibly high. I can go through why it is that AJ Preller is a fiscally irresponsible general manager, convincing his owners, I've got you covered. He doesn't have them covered. Yes, they sell out. Yes, they have the most season ticket holders they've had in forever. Yes, it's an unbelievably cool stadium area district in San Diego. Yes, I couldn't be happier and more proud of the city that is San Diego and the way they embrace their team. But the Padres cannot be the Dodgers. They can't keep signing the multi-year huge contracts. It just doesn't work. So now the Padres are out in the wild card. Still no World Series. What do you do? To me, it is very simple. You have to have someone in the GM role. And AJ Preller is going to keep his job. How he does is a mystery to everyone in baseball. But good for him. He's going to have to keep his job. They're not going to let him go. But they need to put more financial constraints on him because it's another year. Another year where you look back and say, oh, we did not accomplish what we set out to accomplish. The postseason media availability for the Padres will be more fascinating than that of the other eliminated teams in this round. More fascinating than the Guardians, than the Padres. Who was I talking about? Than the Red Sox, I mean. Than the Reds. Those are the eliminated teams. You know my point. I can't wait to hear AJ Preller talk. And he will. I want to shout out before we go on to something else. I want to shout out to the Detroit Tigers. It is really hard when you've had a terrible September and you're told by the sports psychologist, you're told by your manager, you're told by your president in a pre-team meeting before the playoffs start, don't worry about September. It doesn't matter. The fact that we gave up a historic collapse and the Guardians caught us and won the division and now we're on the road for this wild card round. The Guardians and us, talking as the Tigers, have the same record. We've started over. We know the team we have. We've got a guy going out in game one that's going to get you a win in Tarek Skubal. Don't you worry. Get me another game. And did they ever? The Tigers found a way to win their deciding game on the road. Their offense woke up. They finally got hits with runners in scoring position. You want to talk about stats that I love? I love the stat of runners in scoring position. 1 for 13 with runners in scoring position. Well, you better have a lot of solo home runs because otherwise you're going to lose the game. When you're 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position, guess what? Just FYI, the way it works, you're going to win. And the Tigers did that. I watched Jack Flaherty of the Tigers be the perfect Game 3, Game 4 starter. His stuff is underwhelming. His composure is overwhelming. His pitchability is way above average. He doesn't quite go 5 innings in this deciding game, but he's barely sweating. He contained his emotions. He just went out there, and his stuff is not what it used to be. You watch Early and Schlittler with Yankees, Red Sox, you want to see young kid stuff. It's like as a 57-year-old trying to compete with a 30-year-old in various activities. And I mean all types of various activities. The answer is it ain't going to work well. It's the same thing with pitching. But Flaherty he just continues to find a way. Congratulations to the Tigers. The Guardians are not in a terrible position. When you've got a payroll that the Guardians have and you've got Jose Ramirez locked up and you've got the type of farm system and the type of leadership the Guardians have, this is part of the cost of doing business. You lose a Game 3 and you're eliminated in the first round. That happens. And I would tell you that when you look at the Guardians season as a Cleveland Guardians fan, to my friends in Cleveland, it hurts right now, but please appreciate the brilliance that you have in your front office that gives you the chance to get hurt. There are so many low payroll teams that year after year don't give their fan base a chance to feel the pain that you feel now. And I'd like to say that I can translate this into the real world where you can use pain and the pain that you feel as a positive. I am not at all saying that. I am not there. I don't feel positive, and I feel a tremendous amount of pain right now. But as a fan, that pain, it's totally different than real world pain, though it feels real, and I get it. I want you to feel that. I want you to be emotionally connected to your team. But Guardians fans, if for 1 second you're despondent today, you are looking at this totally wrong. You should be thanking your lucky stars that you are feeling this pain. All right, I want to cover some wait to sees because we have a website called David Samson Podcast com, and we have it's a website that has merch on it. It's got our new logo. We have a new show logo. It has a document that goes through all the movies that we review and all the picks that we make and the words of the day, etc. And we have something called the Wait to See for all the new listeners out there. It's a new month, so new listeners. Wait to See is when we make a prediction about something. And instead of being like the other people on other shows, I like revisiting the wait to sees because I want to have accountability when I get things wrong. And I don't want you to think that I just say stuff like off the top of my head and then have no accountability for it. I don't like it. And we've been doing it and we're never going to stop. We're never going to stop doing wait to sees or revisiting them. The Cleveland Guardians and Tigers played in Cleveland, and the Guardians had drawn 26,000. Short of a sellout by 8,000 the first two games. And I told you, wait to see the Guardians game 3 elimination game. That's going to be a sellout. Nope. I don't have words. Only 29,000 people showed up. Yes, it was the biggest crowd of the series, but it wasn't a sellout. What am I missing? And don't give me the time of game stuff. Don't tell me about the working class city. Are you telling me that you couldn't find 34,000 people? Come on, Guardians. Give 5,000 tickets to people in school and tell them to take a time off from school and get the public school system in there. Bing, bang, boom. Get them a bunch of school buses. Let's go. Permission form signed. Get in there. Go find some adult rec centers. Go around to churches and synagogues, forgetting the fact it was Yom Kippur. Do something. Not selling out an elimination game? I can't believe I got that wrong. But it was only the beginning of things I got wrong. Yesterday was just a day of wrong. Maybe, Coca, if you believe in this stuff, do you? Do you believe in the spirits, the spirit of the night? Well, I was lazy Davy and should have been in Temple, I guess. I had the Guardians winning their series. That was a wait to see. Nope, didn't predict that right. I had the Padres winning their series. That was a wait to see. Didn't get that right. I had the Red Sox winning the series because I had the Red Sox winning the pennant. Not only did I not get it right for this round, but I got it wrong now for every round because I had the Red Sox playing the Dodgers in the World Series was my prediction when the playoffs started. That's a big fat no, but now I get to make new predictions. Why? Because that's how it works. It's my show with Coca and Jack, and we're sitting here looking right in the cameras saying, we have a clean slate. I did have the Dodgers winning. Way to go, Dave. Way to bat 1 for 4. Although in the big leagues now, 1 for 4 hitting 250. I'm a major leaguer getting paid some cash. In the world of predictions and if supposed to know what you're doing, 1 for 4 absolutely stinks. If you want to tell me about it, all you got to do is pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, Coca. Can you show me that graphic, please? So you want to talk to Samson. It's not a Wednesday, but it will be soon. There's a phone number we have. Write it down right now or take a screenshot of you're watching on DraftKings Network. Thank you, DraftKings. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Hit subscribe right now. I refuse to fall further behind Pablo. I went on Pablo's show today, Coca. It just got released, giving him more subscribers. We ought to have it so when Pablo's show drops on YouTube on his channel that it somehow is also on our channel so we can like cross-pollinate. Can we do that, Coca? They didn't do it. Why not? You know what? Can we call them right now? like during the show. Say, excuse me, producers of Pablo Torre. Now we'll have to get a cheat sheet of who to call because there's so many people we could possibly call. But just call and say, hey, can you please post the show on our YouTube channel also? Because of course we are friends, but we're also competitors. Anyway, so you want to talk to Samson's fun. Pick up the phone, 631-377-4869. Write that number down. 631, that's an area code you may know about. 377, that's DPS, my initials. And then 4869, which is my reset calculation when I make mistakes on the show. Call that number, leave a message with a question, and I'll answer the questions on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, we do a whole hour answering your voicemails. Keep them coming because they are awesome. I have a problem for the next part of this, and I forgot to tell you, Coca. It's another day when I did not watch the movie I was supposed to watch. That is not good. What do we do? I told you I'd watch Bad Shabbos last night, and I did not. We have to talk about this for a minute, Coca. Maybe we can do it in the second hour. I don't know what to do about movies right now because I've been reviewing movies on shows since I started my media career. Even as president of the team, I would go on Lebitard's show and review movies. I love movies. Why I'm just not watching them right now. That has to change. I was told to watch Bad Shabbos, and I still haven't watched it. I was going to watch Caught Stealing, and I'm not going to get to 2 movies this weekend, given the weekend that I have and the things that I do now every day. It's just not going to happen, Coca. So here's what I'll tell you is that maybe by Monday I'll watch Bad Shabbos, and I want to get back to reviews. I have to find a way to get back to it. I've been really tired this week, Coca. I've been tired for 3 weeks, but wow, it's 3 weeks since it's a Friday. Okay, let's move on. What do you want to go to? Nothing personal pick of the day. We're a live show. I think you all know that. I think you know that this is me with you every day, 2 hours a day, Monday to Friday. And during our pre-production call, I just forgot to mention to Coca that I was not prepared to do the movie review. I'm sorry, Coca, and I will do better next week, I promise you. Nothing personal pick of the day. You can imagine how my day went. It was fan-frickin-tastic. We had the Guardians over the Tigers, loss. We had the Padres over the Cubs, loss. We're now 125 and 124. So, we're going to keep going because we're still over 500. The Nothing Personal Pick of the Day is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. The Division Series begins tomorrow, Saturday, October 4th, and there is a Division Series matchup that you could dream about. The Philadelphia Phillies and the Los Angeles Dodgers will play a best 3 out of 5. That means one of these 2 great franchises will be eliminated in the Division Series round as the Dodgers go to repeat as World Series champions, as the Phillies try with this great core of players they've had such great regular season success with as they try to turn the table and have postseason success. Somebody's story is coming to an end. Saturday, the Philadelphia Phillies are not going with Zach Wheeler. He's out for the year. He's their number 1 starter. But wait a minute, the Phillies have 3 number 1 starters. One of them, Sanchez, Christopher, have you watched him? He's unhittable. Now, the Dodgers are countering with their Game 3 starter of the wild card round. They didn't have a Game 3. They didn't have to start Shohei Ohtani. So guess what? They're starting Shohei Ohtani in Game 1 of the Division Series. So we've got Sanchez and Ohtani. The Phillies are favored in this game right now. Odds subject to change by DraftKings at minus 121. We're taking the Phillies. And I am in a Philly state of mind. This is the Philly special to my friends who are Philly fans and Eagles fans because the Eagles are playing the Broncos on Sunday And that is my second pick of the day, presented by DraftKings. Eagles minus 3.5 over the Broncos. I know the Broncos defense. I know that they can score from time to time, but it's their defense that can give a team troubles. But let me just tell you, the Eagles at 4-0, favored by only 3.5. They're going to win by a field goal. No, come on. We're going the Philly special. And I'm not talking about Danny and Coops. I'm talking about right there in Philly. Phillies, Eagles. Those are your nothing personal picks of the day for this weekend. You knew it was only a matter of time until Caitlin Clark would talk. There's so much going on in the WNBA. And yes, it doesn't have a huge following. And you may wonder why I'm covering it. Is this a shameless ploy to try to improve and change my demographics? Am I trying to get more women listening to the show? More, yes, more of everybody. But there's a business side to this that even if you don't care about the WNBA, that you may be interested. Why would it be after the segment that we did, I don't know when, but it had to have been this week. I was going to say last week, but we didn't do shows last week. So when Napheesa Collier talked about the commissioner of the WNBA and did those 4-minute comments, we covered that on a show at some point, you knew that the media was going to go find players to comment about Engelbert and to find out, hey, do you feel the same way? What is your thought about Kathy Engelbert? Do you like her? Do you not like her? Is she in trouble? Is she going to get fired? Is she not going to get fired? Is she going to keep negotiating the collective bargaining agreement? Because this is pretty juicy stuff when you've got players going after a commissioner in a way that you do not see happen in other leagues. You see discontent with Rob, with Roger, with Gary, with Adam. No problem. Normal sort of clashing of titans. But the absolute way that these WNBA players are going after their commissioner, staggering. Well, it didn't take long. Caitlin Clark, she is above all a businesswoman. I want to give her an amount of credit that I don't give players credit very often in this regard. Caitlin Clark is in the category, to me, of Derek Jeter, brilliant at PR, brilliant at having a career where the focus, there's no trouble, there's no nothing. I don't know Caitlin Clark personally. I don't know what she's like off the court. I don't know what she's like with friends, with lovers. I don't know what she's like with family, period. But what I do know, her public persona, the way she carries herself, the way she handles the attention, the pressure, the stress, the words that come out of her mouth are calculated and smart. She said, this was her response to what's happening in the WNBA. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history, where this league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. Fee, and that's Collier, said it all. What she said and the points she made. It's a perfect quote. It doesn't rifle any feathers. That's not the expression. Sheldon, what's the expression? Ruffle. Jesus, criminy. Caitlin Clark is not ruffling any feathers. She's not giving anyone on the other side, on the ownership side, on the NBA side, any bulletin board material. She's not making it so that any of her sponsors and all of the money she makes off the court could look askance and say, I'm not sure I want to have that representing my brand. No, it's the perfect tone. It's, hey, we have a collective bargaining agreement to hammer out. We need to find a way to make it fair. We need to find a way to get players paid. We need to find a way for the league to be financially successful. We need to work together, kumbaya. So let's go. Caitlin Clark could have lit this place on fire. Caitlin Clark could have had comments about what Collier did and could have gone after Kathy Engelbart, could have gone after Adam Silver, could have gone after the establishment, could have gone after owners. She could have gone scorched freaking earth. And no one would have blamed her. It would have made big, big news. But that's not who Caitlin Clark is. Caitlin Clark is a business machine. She did point out that she hasn't heard from Kathy Engelbard since Collier's statement. And I would like to point out that if I'm Kathy Engelbard, I know you're busy, but let me give you a nickel's worth of free advice. There are roughly one player in your league who you would like to have on your side. Not two, not three. Apologies to every other player. There's one player you want to see if you can explain what's happening, and that's Caitlin Clark. Hard stop. How you would not find the time, Kathy. I feel like I'm singing the last 5 years. Kathy, how you would not find the time to pick up the phone. Not text, pick up the phone. Check it in. We got to talk. Let's meet. Let's have a coffee. Let's do something. It is so clear to me that Kathy Engelbard is getting terrible advice from someone, and I hope it's not the NBA. I hope it's not her family. I hope it's not someone she hired. Can you imagine that? That there's a PR firm and there's a business development firm and there's people around the WNBA and they're advising her what to say, how to say it, and when to say it? Be better. Don't give Caitlin Clark the ability to use her platform and her microphone to make you look even worse. Do the opposite. You know Caitlin Clark is going to have to comment on the Collier statements. You pick up the phone and call her so that when she comments, she gets to say, yes, I spoke to Kathy. I totally understand the miscommunication. Or I totally understand why there's so much tension between the two sides. I totally understand why we are where we are today. That would have been better for the WNBA. And Caitlin Clark could have done that without in any way sacrificing herself as the perfect pitch woman, as the perfect teammate, as the perfect union member. She could have had it all. Instead, Kathy chose to not reach out, and now it's a story. It's a story that Clark hasn't heard from the commissioner. One day, this will all make sense, because there's a lot of PR and there's a lot of meetings left to be had in the WNBA. But as I sit here today, as I repeated to you 2 days ago, there is no path to starting a season without a work stoppage. There is no path. NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? For me, it's the next one. Because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. From first touchdown scored to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. The Kansas City Chiefs are in Jacksonville on Monday to face the Jaguars, and right now, you could bet Travis Kelce to score a touchdown at plus 180. Taylor Swift's new album just dropped on Friday, so you know what everyone will be doing this weekend. Once you're done listening, you may want Travis Kelce to score a touchdown at plus 180. Lines and odds are subject to change. And here's the best part. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Samson. That's code SAMSON to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Welcome back to Nothing Personal. It's hour two of Friday, October 3rd, 2025. Since June 2nd, the week of June 2nd, every Friday, you should be getting used to what that means. It means that we get Matthew Coca, the producer of Nothing Personal, to come on the air for the second hour and carry the show. Tell me everything that he thinks that's going on in the sports world and the world of sports business because he's got opinions, he's got thoughts, he's grumpy. I don't know if he's grumpy today. Let's find out. Coca, come help me. Help me, please.
How you doing?
Hey, Coca. Thank you. Now, we had you on the air this week. I don't remember which shows, but I do want to shout out right to your face just what you've done. People don't realize what goes into these shows because you think it's just me blabbing for 2 hours every day. But Coca just gets me ready to do what I do every day. And during the show, he's talking to me and writing stuff down. And I've been distracted horribly for weeks now. So thank you, Coca. I want the audience to get a good look. Wait, what hat? You're wearing a bananas hat?
Yeah, we're going with Savannah Bananas today.
I never knew you were a hat guy in all the
Yeah,
years I've known you.
yeah. Well,
How many
most of the
hats do you
time,
have?
uh, I think we're at like 12, maybe just
Oh,
12
that's not so
hats.
many.
Yeah, no, but it's like the collection continues to grow. It's like anytime I walk past like a lids or something like that, I'll have to stop in and see what they got for me. But before we get into anything, I just want to sort of be serious here. Um, and I just want to tell you that I love you and I appreciate you. And I don't know how you're able to do this. Um, but I just want the audience to know the strength that it takes to do what you're doing right now. Um, it really is special.
I love you too, Coca. Thank you. I can't do it without you. I feel you every show helping me. And I didn't know how I'd feel after this week. I must tell you that we started back on Monday, and the show used to be the best part of my day. I loved it so much, all the episodes we've done for the past 5 years. And I will tell you, because we tell the truth on this show, I didn't love doing the shows this week. I didn't love the shows. I thought they were all bad.
Hmm.
I just did not, I didn't feel like myself at all. I didn't feel like I had the passion, the emotion that I have about stories that I've always had because I couldn't find the meaning in them. So I don't know. I don't know what to do going forward. We're going to do a show Monday because we are. At least as I sit here today, that is the plan. And if it changes, you'll all know first. But I don't know, Coca. I mean, do people really care to hear me talk about Caitlin Clark or about what's going on in the Red Sox front office? I just don't know.
Well, I think it was, I had told you this before when we had talked about bringing the show back. Um, is that there are definitely people out there uh, who like to hear what you have to say about these things, and not just sports, right? There are people who message us all the time with whatever problem it is that they're going through. Uh, as just knowing that they're not alone. And I think that's what people crave, right? People crave friendship. People crave the idea that they're not alone going through whatever it is that they're also going through. So it was probably a great welcome for them to hear your voice again. And for you to say, like, I didn't think the shows were great. I had told you that too. Like, it doesn't matter if the shows are great. Who cares? At least you're talking. At least you're back here and you're doing this, and people know, that you are going through something. But in the grand scheme of life, just being here matters and talking matters. And I think more people should know that too. That you could always anybody could reach us, and I respond to most emails that we get, or you respond to most emails that we get. So just know that like nobody is alone in whatever it is that they're going through if you and I are here. And I think that's the important part of doing this show and this week and moving forward, is knowing that, we're here for everybody and they're here for us.
It does feel good. I've gotten to read some of the stuff, Coca. We really have to talk about the movie situation. I don't know. I got to figure that out because that is a strange one. I can't quite wrap my arms around. But I also used to like reading every DM and every email. And there are some of them, when it's someone who's never DM'd before, there's a different list on X.
Hmm.
There's a different tab for messages from unknown senders, whatever. And when you get messages, a lot of the messages have been about people who are going through with their families or going through with themselves things, health issues. And I realize it makes me feel way less alone. That, what you said is so true. But it also makes me feel so badly because I don't want any parent to ever feel what I am feeling right now. Not my worst enemy, not my best friend. Like, what, it doesn't matter, not one other soul. And I don't want any child to go through anything. It's so bad, Coca. And I just don't want people to feel it. And when I get these emails, it's heartbreaking. And I don't want people to stop sending them because I want to read them and I want them to feel less alone and I want to feel less alone because it's freaking lonely, Coca.
It is, and it's just, it just opens the door um, for people to have conversations. And I think that's what a lot of us do when we're going through something, is that we believe that we can do this alone. That nobody wants to bear what we believe is a burden of pain that feels like it's going to be, everlasting. But it's like every single day, all of us are going through something, or we know somebody going through something, or eventually we're going to go through something. And we just need to realize that, like, talking, just talking and getting those thoughts out of your head, because they're just eating at you and eating at you and eating at you. That feels so good sometimes, even though it's painful to do it, because communication is so important, and we forget about that because we all want to be, we want to be brave. And if you're a man, like everybody teaches you, you have to be a man. You have to be a man. Like, what does that even mean
I don't
anymore?
even know what that
Right?
means.
It's just, it's
It's
so
idiotic.
ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, just talking feels good, even though it hurts.
I
Um,
did something last night, Coca, that was so stupid. And I have to tell you about it. So I'm in this survivor pool, and that's where you pick a team to win. There's no spread. You just pick an NFL team to win. And if you pick it right, you get to go to the next week. And I've made it through the first 4 weeks. That's the furthest I've made it since 2016. And I do survivor pools every year. And this week, I was so out of it and grumpy and feeling sorry for myself and trying to figure out how to deal with everything. And I said, all right, who's the Thursday night game? Because I'm going to be watching baseball Thursday night. So I don't have time to watch football Sunday, I don't think, because I don't know what my Sunday is going to look like. I'm just going to take the team. I'm not going to watch the game. And whatever. If I win, I win, but I hope I lose. I had the Rams in my survivor pool last night. And lo and behold, the Red Sox Yankees game ends. And instead of like watching a movie or instead of going to sleep, which I should have done, or working, which I should have done, I end up turning on the Rams game. And I watched it through the overtime. I'm so angry, and we'll talk about what happened in the game and how ridiculous it is that the Rams lost. Ridiculous that I'm out of the survivor pool. And what's the worst part is that I'm angry that I'm out when I was trying to be out because I didn't care. Now that I'm out, it turns out I care.
I
Damn
mean,
Rams.
that's just the way it goes. But that game was so exciting. I did the same thing. I was watching baseball and I watched that Yankees Red Sox game because I just couldn't turn it off when Schlittler was pitching like that. Like, you have to live in that moment. But it's set up so nicely to catch the end of the Rams game, to see Kyron Williams fumble that ball at the goal line, which would have been the go-ahead touchdown. Um,
They would have won.
Yeah,
By the way,
but just
all they
watching.
had to do was kick an extra point and they would have won. Al Michaels acknowledged it. I love when broadcasters do that. Al Michaels acknowledged, "Hey, let's do a recap because many of you may have been watching baseball and are now watching the game." So it was that I felt a part of something, that I wasn't alone there, that other people, and now I hear you did it, so I assume tons of people did the same
Yeah,
thing.
but like the one thing that like stuck out to me was Kirk Herbstreit kept talking about, like, listen, they're going to be able to get the ball back. The Rams are going to get the ball back. They have all these stops, and then Matthew Stafford's going to have the ball. There was no doubt in my mind that Matthew Stafford was going to put the Rams in a position to tie the game or win the game. To me, he is probably the most underrated quarterback in the last 15 years of football is Matthew Stafford, because he throws such a beautiful pass, and he's always putting up numbers consistently, but nobody ever talks about him as being one of the best quarterbacks of recent years. So there was
You
no
saw the
doubt in my
stat.
mind.
Did you see the stat during the game that he has the 5th most fourth quarter overtime drives to come back and win a game? 5th most in NFL history. So it got me thinking, who are the top 4? And of course, I didn't call our crack staff to discover it, but you'd have to imagine Tom Brady, I would assume, would be in the top 4 for fourth quarter and overtime comebacks.
Yeah, but like, when is it just all time, or is
All
it
time. Matthew
see,
Stafford is all
yeah.
time.
Yeah, I was going to say that's too many quarterbacks for me to have to think about at this point, because you have like Aaron Rodgers, and then you have
He's
to,
a good one.
yeah, then you have to like keep going back years and years and years and years.
I mean, like to Y.A. Tittle.
But what did you think about the punch out? How do you feel about that he made contact with the running back's head first and then got to the ball? Is it one of those things that is just moving too fast, and in real time you just have to say, hey, it is what it is? Or do you feel as though, that's sort of a play that would be reviewable? Or do you just, or is there just too many reviews? Like,
wait, is that against the rules?
I believe so. I believe making contact with the head first.
Well, illegal hands to the head was called on the 49ers earlier in that drive, either in the fourth quarter or overtime. I don't remember when. And I remember Kirk Herbstreit said that didn't really look like illegal hands to the face. Like his hands were sort of up and under, not totally up and under. They looked more on the shoulder pads. And then the punch out, what you're talking about, is when the Rams were going to win the game, they were going to win. And instead, Williams, right at the 1 yard line, trying to get an extra minute or two, an extra yard or two. There's a rookie defender for the Niners who does not, I mean, he's one of the biggest people I've ever seen. I don't remember his name, but he's a rookie he must weigh 300 pounds. He used his hand, and it looked like it was wrapped like a boxer, Coca. It wasn't like his bare fingers. It was like he had some sort of glove on.
His name's Alfred Collins. They have him listed at 6'6", 333 pounds.
Oh, my God. Of course, if they have him listed at that, he ain't that.
I mean, he could be bigger.
He's 100% bigger. Oh, no, wait. In football, do they do the opposite? Do they list, because in basketball, they list you taller than you are, so you're always shorter in real life than what your listed height is. In football, do they want you to think that your guys are heavier, so they list you heavier than you are?
Yeah. I guess it's got to be by position, right? So, like, if you're a quarterback, if you're one of the smaller quarterbacks, right, like Kyler Murray, or you want to be listed like 2 inches taller than you are. But if you're a lineman, like, do you want to be listed that big so people fear you, or do you want to be listed like 15 pounds fewer so people are like, oh, he looks big, but he's actually thinner than I thought?
That's a great question. I just think that from a weight standpoint, everyone wants to be listed lower than what they are. Just definitionally, that's what it is with weight. And height, definitionally, everyone wants to be listed as taller than they are. It didn't occur to me that there would be some competitive advantage to listing yourself differently on the low side. But there may be.
There's a Jack just hit me up and reminded me of this player. There's a rookie who was waived by the Buccaneers, but they just brought him back a few weeks ago. I don't know if he's still on the team, but his name's Desmond Watson, and he's listed at 400 pounds.
No way.
Yeah, he couldn't even get on the field during minicamp in the off season because he was just too big.
What is that? Wait, I don't understand what you're saying. What is
Like
being too big?
when you're too out of shape, they won't let you practice or play. So you have to get into some sort of shape because he's just too big. So it's
There's
just
fat linemen everywhere in the
yeah,
NFL.
but not 400 pounds.
No, but there's
No
guys
way.
with huge boilers and they stick out. I don't get why linemen with the boilers wear shirts that are too small. Can't they get the double X or the triple or the quadruple or the quintuple X?
That's self love. You know,
Yeah, sorry, you're right. You know what? I
they,
take it back.
they love the way they look. Another thing that's happening in the NFL right now that Vic Fangio, who's the defense coordinator for the Eagles, he just brought up, but I had heard Pat McAfee mention it once, and I think I had mentioned it to you before, and it's about the kicking ball. And this was
Mhm.
like something that was just nobody said anything. It wasn't really reported, but this year kickers are allowed to break in the kicking ball during the week, and then during the games they can use those broken in footballs to kick. And I was just,
Let's explain that, Coca, please,
okay.
because the way it used to be is that a ball that you would use, it's a different ball. There's actually a K on the balls that are used to kick field goals. And there's a certain way those balls get prepared. And before this year, they were prepared in a way that made them less apt to go 65 yards. It's not just analytics. It's not just drugs. It's not just the way these kickers have better legs, better shape, whatever the case is. The balls are truly different, acknowledged different because they're warmed up, they're kicked with, and that helps with the flight. Don't ask me the physics of it. Don't know, don't care. The reality is what Coca's saying and what we said before the season is a 58-yard field goal, unthinkable 20 years ago. Now, it's not even a question. When those miss, you're upset with your kicker.
Yeah, I went through and pulled the statistics for this. So in 2023, this is only through 4 weeks. Kicks of 58 yards or longer, kickers were 2 of 5 through the first 4 weeks. In 2024, that number jumped to 6 of 10 from 58 plus. And this season already, through only 4 weeks, kickers are 11 for 17 from 58 yards. It just means you only have to get what 10 yard. You have to get to the 40. You just have to get to the 40-yard line, and you can just kick. And it seems to be a much bigger story than what people are letting it on to be because field position and game winners and all this stuff, everything changes. Everything changes because of something that was so small. That I'm just surprised. Maybe people thought that because nobody really knows much about kicking, right? And that's the
What do
whole
you
thing
mean?
with college. That's the whole thing with College Game Day, where Pat McAfee and the crew they get a fan to just come on and try and kick a field goal to win it because everybody thinks
Oh,
kickers
they
suck
can't,
and
I
this and that.
assume.
Yeah, well, they've been pretty good this year with making those kicks.
How
But
far are they from?
I don't know. I hope somebody in the chat can tell me. In a few of how far those
It
kicks
can't
are
be
for
more.
game
Do you
day.
think that a normal person can stand up and do a 30-yard field goal? Because I do not.
Well,
I absolutely think
there's
that
two things. There's two different sides to it. So, are you talking about just going out onto a football field in perfect conditions? Let's say it's like an indoor practice facility, and it's just you and the tee. Or are you
yes.
talking about 6'6", 330
No.
pound linemen running at you full speed, and then trying to kick? Because that changes everything. So
No
I think
normal
more people.
person can get a kick over a defensive line. It would never happen.
Yeah, but that's what I think. That's what I think has to go into the whole thing is that these guys are trying to kick with linemen running at you, with crosswinds coming from wherever. So it's definitely a lot harder. But I don't know where you stand on the kicking ball situation. Do you think this is something that's better, or do you think this is something that it's too much because of the distance that people are kicking these field goals from?
Listen, I was in baseball during the steroid era, and I knew about steroids, and I just, hey, you want to do steroids? It's my job to tell you they're not good for you. It's my job to tell you you're going to get acne on your back. It's my job to tell you that you're gonna hurt later in life. But by the way, football players, every one of these professional players, they're going to have a hard time walking in their 50s. That's just the reality of playing football. Professional athletes know. Go talk to Conine. And we're talking about someone who is completely clean, would never do one steroid ever, ever. And Jeff Conine, as he's getting older, you're like, oh, this hurts, that hurts. The rest of us feel it when we're old. Professional athletes feel it even more. You want to do steroids? Do it. Your call. It's against the law and you're an idiot, but your call. My thought is that it's really good for the game because it used to be that it was a dream. Like, oh, Schnikes, the 2-minute drive. Do you remember that concept? How good is he in the 2-minute offense? And we just talked about Stafford being top 5 in all-time fourth quarter OT drives to win. But now, I don't think it's so hard to have a drive because with kickoff rules, you're getting the ball generally at the 30, sometimes the 40 to start. We just said you need 20 yards. And the way the defensive penalties are called and the way the rules are, it's rare that the offense doesn't get into field goal position, and field goal position is almost at the 50. So I feel like teams are never out of it. I feel like it makes for cool games where look at the Rams game. There was a fumble at the 1-yard line with a minute left. That was my takeaway. Side note, Coca, don't waste timeouts to save 5 yards. Can you imagine if the Rams had spent a timeout when the play clock was going down in the third quarter? That game's over. They don't get the ball back and a chance to tie or win the game. Just FYI.
It looks like it's 33 yards for game day. That's the kick that people have to make is
and
yards.
People hit that.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 people have already hit the
out of
field
how
goal
many though?
This year. They're in week 6. I think they're in week 6.
You're telling me that half the people they get out of an audience,
yeah, it's been
just
crazy.
Randos.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a little crazy this year. But I just want to add with the longer distance kicks, like it adds a wow factor to kicking, right? And it's cool. Like, yes, game-winning field goals. When a guy hits a 33-yard field goal and he walks off, you sort of expect it to happen. You're like, oh, he hit it from 33, he hit it from 40. But like with guys kicking from 65 yards to win football games, like awesome. It gives kickers something cool. And that's the part of it that I do appreciate is like that sort of kicking from that sort of distance is cool. And Vic Fangio did bring up the steroid error because he said that there should be an asterisk here with the way that kickers are kicking. And he said it was like the live ball error or the asterisk for those home runs Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were hitting. The way they've changed the ball, the NFL, the kicking ball has drastically changed the field goals. He wasn't a fan of it. But it's funny because the Eagles were part of the teams that brought this rule forward, which I guess he did not know.
Are you an asterisk guy? I'm not. While you're thinking about your answer, look, we're not prepared.
Well, give me a situation.
McGwire and Sosa in 1998.
I'm all for it.
Bonds home run record over Henry Aaron.
I'm all for it.
So you're not an asterisk guy.
Yeah, but I just don't know enough. Like if there's I kind of am because I think back to, and I know it's just, injuries happen, but I'm like one of those guys who it's hard for me to, like the Raptors championship, when the Raptors won the championship against the Warriors and the Warriors had to play without, Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson got hurt. Like that to me, it's not a real asterisk, but I'm like I don't like saying that the Raptors were champions, even though they are champions.
What about the Spurs in 1999 when Patrick Ewing couldn't play in the finals? Is that an asterisk? He got hurt?
It's like half one. Like, I just wish that we can just get rid of injuries and that we can have teams at their full go, and then we can see who the real best team. But I understand that, like, injuries are part of your season and part of the story, and it's still sad.
It's my favorite part. When AJ Burnett got hurt, he was one of our best pitchers, out for the season in 03, which is why you have to call up a Dontrell Willis. I love when teams get tested, when depth gets tested. I love the injuries in sports because it makes you able to differentiate the good front offices from the bad front offices. And yes, money's a part of it. You want to be able to cover your mistakes and cover injuries with depth. But you know what? Look at the low payroll teams. Look at teams in football, basketball, baseball who find a way to get through injuries. The people who make excuses about injuries are always just the losers. Winners have injuries too, but they're winning, so they don't need the excuse. So I've never liked the injury excuse like the Braves this year. You know how many injuries the Braves had?
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? They lost. They had a terrible season. Brian Snitker steps down, and that was one of the things that happened this week. So I am not with you. I don't believe the Yankees. Excuse me, 4869. The Knicks. They lost in '99. That's it. They couldn't beat the Spurs. Yes, it's true Ewing didn't play, but it doesn't change it for me.
We are on a podcast or a show or whatever you want to call it. But the thing that has absolutely driven me insane this year, because of my team, the Ravens, being such failures this early on, is that we need to put an end to players having podcasts in season. It is ridiculous. I don't need...
What's an example?
Marlon Humphrey is a defensive back for the Ravens. He was an All-Pro a couple years ago. He's been one of our top players, but this year and last year, the defense has been one of the major problems. And he's been barbecue chicken out there, getting burnt down the field. And then after the game, he just goes home and starts up his podcast. And it's just like, is that what is the most important thing right now? Is doing these podcasts, is trying to build your personal brand in the season. I just think for some fans, me included, that we just focus on the game. Because remember, Paul George, when things were okay with the Sixers, Paul George had his podcast, and then the Sixers season started falling off, just dropping and dropping and dropping. And then he's like, hey, I need to, or what's it, the clip? I don't know, remember what team he's on. I think it's the Sixers. And he's like, I have to stop. Now. He's like, I have to stop the podcast. We can't do the podcast anymore. It's done.
Wait, are you saying that Marlon Humphreys comes home from a game Sundays and records like from a hot tub, from a cool plunge? Or is he in a studio? Does he have hosts? Like, what are we talking here?
No, last year he was in a studio and had a host. This year it's just him doing his podcast from home after the game ends. And I just think
I'm so shocked at your point of view here, Coca. So you would, what do you want him to be doing Sunday night? Like reading bedtime stories to his kids? What would you like him to be doing?
I would like him to pay more attention to getting ready for games than he is about tweeting and doing podcasts.
I'm blown away that you're like me now. What have I rubbed off on you in that way that you're upset when players are doing something other than playing? You are a full-time producer. Do you do anything other than work for and think about nothing personal? Of course you do.
Yeah, so, but that to me is complete. Like, there's no fans of Matthew Coca. People aren't spending their money. People aren't, showing up to people aren't showing up to stadiums. People aren't taking their kids to go watch me produce you live. But I just think for an NFL, if you want to have an out of season podcast where you can go over the season and you can talk about the plays that have happened, go for it. But I just think in season, focus on the season.
What about Broadway actors who perform 8 shows a week? And their call time is 5 p.m. and the curtain is 7. And then their plays over at 10. They take the makeup off, the costume off, and they're home by 11. They've got from 11 p.m. until the show the next day. The call time is 5 p.m. Can't they go work out the next morning? Can't they go out to eat? Can't they spend time with friends? I'm not understanding.
I just don't think you're like the example that you're setting right now. I just don't think is close to this. Like, I just think that after a football
people pay to see a Broadway actor.
But I'm talking about if the Broadway actor put on a poor performance, and then after every performance, you find out that they're just, going to the bar and getting drunk, and that's, what they're doing. That to me is more in line with, these players leaving their games and just going to podcast. And to me, it's just like, dude, focus on recovery. Focus on getting your body right, because guess what? Now Marlon Humphrey is out and he's hurt. So it's just like, to me, it's
so he has
just like,
plenty of time to do a podcast.
he's got plenty of time to podcast right now. And it's the same thing, because we had another player, Kyle Van Noy, who does a podcast. There are just too many player podcasts right now. If you want to stop in and be a guest on a show, go for it. But I just think, just save the podcast for the off season. You have so much downtime in the off season that you can just do your podcast in the off season, and then just focus on football, focus on baseball. Here.
I can't wait to introduce you to Logan Morrison, former player who was early adapter of Twitter, and I couldn't stand that he was tweeting. It's before I was on Twitter. I only joined after I left baseball. And this has always been my view, what you're saying. So I can't believe you and I have the same view. And now I've gone the other way, which is, hey, it's their own free time, but you better be ready to play, because if you don't play well, we're going to release you, and no one will care what you have to say. If you get hurt, no one will care what you have to say. And the odds of you succeeding are minimal, but go ahead and do it. That's where I've come to, and you've gone the other way. It makes me realize that anything can happen in this world. I would never have thought that was your view.
Yeah, but I'm going to get the people back here, because, this Coca can never leave, just ever. And that's World Cup ticket prices.
Did you see the announcement today?
I will fight the fight forever that tickets need to be more affordable for fans. We cannot live in a world where sports is just for the rich. We cannot do it, because there are way more fans who are not rich than there are who are rich. And when I mean rich, I mean wealthy and can afford $6,000 to go watch a soccer game.
Wait, it's the World Cup final, though, to be fair.
Okay, so $620 for a ticket. And then it's a slap in the face to other fans that the most affordable tickets are $60, and they're only in corners of the stadium in the nosebleed that are so high that you got to duck under birds, because there might be a bird up there that'll fly at your face. It is ridiculous.
But it's $60.
They make you can't even see the field. You're looking down and it looks like there's ants playing. But it's also just $60 for one fan. If you're a family of four trying to go to a soccer game, to a World Cup game, now you're at $240. There's probably fees, so you're probably closer to $350. And that's if you could do this ridiculous draw to get tickets. So now you have to go onto a secondary market. And on the secondary market, those $60 tickets are probably $150 each. So now you're up to $600, $700 to try and go watch a soccer game. And to me, it is just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Is that the same view of Taylor Swift has a new album, and my daughters are going to listen to it together today, by the way. That is a big activity. Is your view that the Eras tour was too expensive and that was only accessible to rich people?
But that's another thing where it's just like, if you have to look at the two sides of it, there is the standard ticket price, right? To go to a Taylor Swift concert. And I don't know what her standard ticket prices are to go to a concert. Let's say the base. So I'm saying, is there a $60 ticket to go watch her perform?
But nosebleeds, you could barely see her, but you got her on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, but I bet
you're a part of something cool.
But I bet you at those $60 nosebleed tickets, there aren't 40 of those tickets. And there's 2,000 of those tickets to go watch it. This was just like FIFA's way of saying, "Oh, you know what? We've got to do something for the fan. We've got to do something for them. So we're gonna have 250 tickets that are $60." And I hate seeing that, because the one thing that always infuriates me about some of these games, and it happens at like the Yankees game, where you look behind you have the view, like right behind the catcher, and then the seats are empty, and it's just like all those seats are empty.
Well, they're in the
And
lounge. They're eating the free
oh
stuff.
yeah, those are definitely the real fans, or the ones who are sitting in the lounge for the game. But getting back to the World Cup, it's just like the World Cup is it's like your nation, right? And there are people, and we live in America, and we are a nation, melting pot of all these different people and nationalities and ethnicities, and their team is coming here, and it might be the only opportunity that they have to go watch their team play, and they have to put up rent checks to go to a soccer game. It's crazy, and it's all FIFA. It's FIFA setting the prices, and now you look, and FIFA has set up its own secondary market where they're taking 15% from the buyer and 15% from the seller, and things have just become so not about the fan anymore, and I hate it. I hate it.
It is about okay. Thank you, Coca. Thank you.
Okay.
It is about the fan. It's just about a different demographic fan than what you're talking about. And when FIFA sets prices, and me defending FIFA sickens me, literally sickens me to my stomach, because my stomach is sick currently as we are approaching the end of the week. The only reason they charge those prices is that people are buying those tickets. There are certain events that are exclusively for people who have more disposable income than others. That's life. And I've been on the side where I didn't have any money. I've been on the side where I had plenty of money. I've always, though, made choices. And I think that's what people need to do. Now, you could argue that there's a lot of people in this world who don't have choices. They don't have the money to make a choice. They can't make a choice. They have to choose shelter. They have to choose rent. They have to choose water. They have to choose cell phones. I understand that there are different types of choices, but there's plenty of people who choose how their disposable income is spent. However little you have, if you have $5 a month, or if you've got $5,000 a day, whatever your disposable income is, everyone makes a choice. And what people do when they are offering services to all of the others who are making choices with their disposable income, they set the price of their service according to the exclusivity of the service. Well, wait a minute. You can buy this pack of gum at 1,000 different stores. Therefore, I can't charge an amount that's so different than what other stores are charging, because then I won't sell a pack of gum. Very simple. When you have an exclusive event, a Taylor Swift concert, a World Cup final game,
That's the problem. It is not an exclusive event.
It's completely exclusive.
Dude, it is soccer. It is sports. You cannot have a tagline for FIFA called "Football is for everyone" and then price out fans just to make money. If that's the case, yes.
Stop. Is that really their slogan?
Yes. And if that's the case, then sell the one level tickets. Sell those premium tickets for $15,000. Sell them for $15,000, because those people have disposable income. You're still going to make money. They're still going to buy those tickets because they want to be in the club, because they're still buying those box seats. They're doing all that. So just say, hey, the 100 level tickets, we're going to sell for $15,000, not $6,000, and we're going to make the rest of the tickets more affordable. But they don't do that. Nobody does that. So you can say whatever you want about capitalism, and you can say what you want about it being exclusive. Sports should not be an exclusive event, because everybody relies on every fan to survive. So it's just like you cannot price out all of these fans just to say, hey, this is exclusive. It's not exclusive.
The game is not exclusive, Coca. There's different levels of engagement in the game.
But that's what I'm saying, is that make the 100 level $15,000. Do that. You can still make your money, and then make the 300 level the affordable tickets, where all the 300 level is $60 to $100. That way you're still making your money, and you're still allowing fans that deserve to go to this game, because they do deserve to go to this game, because fans who don't have that much disposable income still deserve because it is sports at the end of the day. It is
But
just
you can go to a
sports.
bar and watch it.
But that's the bar isn't going to create those memories of seeing your favorite player on the field and feeling that atmosphere. It is completely different to be in the stadium watching your team play. And it's just every fan deserves that right. So it's like, everybody says tax the rich. Sure. Do it by setting ticket prices higher in the more premium areas so that you would still make your margins back, but stop taking it out on these smaller fans who still deserve an opportunity to go to those games without bankrupting themselves or without having to decide between, am I going to be able to pay for this because I have to pay for that? It shouldn't be like that.
Do you live in
because
America?
I understand what you're saying, and I know that people are going to say whatever they want about Matt doesn't understand this and Matt doesn't understand that. I'm okay with you guys saying that. I'm whatever. But it's just stop pricing out fans. Stop doing it.
All right. Can we talk about the division series that starts on Saturday?
Yeah.
I want to preview the series, and we have to make our predictions. Now, during the show, you did not take your flowers and victory lap, which you should have. You predicted the wild card round, and you did great. You got 3 out of 4 series right. You had the Yankees beating the Red Sox. You had the Dodgers beating the Reds. You had the Tigers beating the Guardians. You just had the Padres beating the Cubs, and that didn't happen. But 3 out of 4 ain't bad. I only went 1 out of 4. So I want to bring you back now to the division series, which starts Saturday. We've got, let's just go through American League. The Tigers, they finish up in Cleveland. They have to fly all the way west to Seattle, where Ichiro will not be playing right field, but he damn well could. The Tigers and Mariners have never met in the postseason. The Mariners are HOTT with their additions of Suarez, Naylor. They added at the deadline the offense to go with their unbelievable starting pitching, and they had a great September. The Tigers did not, but they're there. What is your thought on that series?
Well, we actually have 3 of the 4 series are where teams have never faced each other in the postseason. The only one that has is the Dodgers and the Phillies. Listen, I'm trying to remember, but it's hard for me to, about rust, about teams that haven't been playing in that earlier round. And I know that is this a new thing with these selling tickets to and having fans at these scrimmages? Has this always been a thing for teams that had the first round bye?
No, because we never wanted to spend the money to open up the stadium. It's new in the last 20 years where you have, when the team's on the road, you open up your arena and it's a watch party. These watch parties have become huge things. And when you realize that you can have people spend money to come watch you and you donate it all to charity, or you have no admission, but you have people buy beer, you're trying to create an atmosphere where the players are playing in front of fans to try to mimic the experience that will be the playoff game. Of course, it's total horse hockey. There is no way to actually make it that an inter-squad game gives you the pressure of a playoff game, but it is cool. Philly drew 31,000 people to their scrimmage.
Yeah, more than went to the Guardians game.
I can't. I can't. I literally can't.
But getting back to the series, the Mariners, from top to bottom, I just think that they have a better team. With the way that Cal Raleigh's been playing this year, Julio Rodriguez, Eugenio Suarez, they just have a better team. They have the pitching to do it. They have the hitters to do it. I think that the Mariners...
So get on with it. Are you taking the Mariners over the Tigers?
Yeah. I'm going to take the Mariners. I'm
taking Ichiro. I'm taking the Mariners, absolutely. I want it for Ichiro. I want it for those fans. They deserve it. The other American League series is the Yankees. They're right to Toronto. This, to me, is an easy one. They have never met in the postseason, which blows my mind. You said 3 out of the 4 series. I can't believe the Blue Jays and Yankees have never played in the playoffs. Bo Bichette is hurt. He is not going to play. The Yankees rotation, we touched on it in the first hour. I doubt they've made an announcement as of when we're recording this, which is live on Friday morning. I don't imagine they've announced who their starter is for tomorrow. Will they go Fried on short rest? I would, even though he signed to a long-term deal, and this is year 1 of that long-term deal, I think. But then you have to have multiple players on short rest. It's just a nightmare. And I don't know if the Blue Jays have announced their number one game one
Mm.
starter yet because they don't have a true game one starter. They have no ace. They've got a bunch of interesting twos, threes, and fours. And Scherzer's not close to their best pitcher. To me, the Yankees are going to win this series. I am going with the Yankees. As much as I said they won't even make the playoffs, I'm going with the Yankees.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Uh, Judge looks good. It's only been 3 games, but Judge looks good. Stanton could probably get it going. And it all goes back to pitching too. The Yankees were able to get out of Schlittler something that they never thought they would be able to get. He's a guy who was like their number 4, number 5 guy, and just the way that he's looked recently, he's looked like a true ace. And you add that with Fried, you add that with
Amazing.
Rodon, and then hopefully Warren can step up. I think the Yankees,
So
the
we're
Yankees,
both
it was,
going
yeah, I think it was
Yankees
about getting
Mariners.
through the Red Sox for the Yankees. I think if the Yankees
Okay.
were able to get through the Red Sox, then they can put together a nice little run here.
Let's go National League. We got 2 series. Let's start with the Dodgers Phillies because
Mm.
that to me is the premium series. I haven't seen the schedule. I assume they have the Phillies and Dodgers as major prime time, amazing time slots because what a series. Who do you think has the advantage? And we only have a couple minutes left. I'll just spoil it for you. I had the Dodgers losing to the Red Sox in the World Series or beating the Red Sox in the World Series. I can't remember which because whatever. So, of course, I'm taking the Dodgers over the Phillies.
Yeah, this one's tough for me just because the Dodgers pitching is so bad. It's so bad. Um, I'm
Snell
gonna
went
take.
7.
Yeah, he did, but I'm talking more about the bullpen. That every time the bullpen comes into the game
Terrible.
for the Dodgers, people are just afraid. Uh, and it's really, really hard to win in Philadelphia. I'm going to take the Phillies. I'm going to take the Phillies.
I would really like JT Realmuto. My ideal World Series would be Phillies Yankees, so that either JT or Giancarlo get a ring, or Brewers Yankees, because then Yelich or Stanton will get a ring. The
Mm.
last series here is Brewers Cubs. When you gave me this stat before the show, I figured you were wrong. The Cubs and Brewers have never played each other in the postseason. The Brewers have been in the postseason the last 8 years, 7 out of the last 8 years. What a story with Craig Counsell going from Milwaukee to Chicago. Pat Murphy, maybe manager of the year, 2 years running. The Brewers are, to me, the best team in baseball. You may not have heard of their starting rotation, but I would take Peralta over just about anybody on any of the teams left. Bullpen nasty, even with Devin Williams being traded. Lineup deep with people you've never heard of, but wait till you start watching them. The Brewers, to me, will outman the Cubs, and it's going to be fast. I'm going with the Brewers, even though they lost the season series 7-6.
This to me is the toughest series to pick. I just feel like the Cubs are supposed to be the better team, right? So you want to believe in the Cubs because they're supposed to be better. But just the way that the Brewers play, their lineup from top to bottom, I'm going to go with the Brewers here too. So I think it's going to be Brewers, Phillies, and then uh, the Yankees, and I already forgot, and the Mariners on the other side.
So we are 3 out of 4 together.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be in that position with me. So I'm going to make it an official wait to see. Can you mark it on the document at davidsamsonpodcast.com? I
Yeah.
want this to be an official wait to see where I am and where you are. I've got the Yankees versus the Mariners in the LCS, and so do you. And I've got the Brewers versus the Dodgers in the NLCS, and you've got the Brewers versus the Phillies in the NLCS. And we're going to find out here shortly. Remember, the division series is best of 5, which is more than best of 3, but fewer than best of 7, which is what the LCS is. And we've got that starting on Saturday. So by Monday, we will have 2 games done
And
in,
before
in
we're
this series.
out of here, I just want to thank you for this week. I want to thank the listeners and the watchers and the people in chat. I want to thank you guys for coming here and giving us our time. It is appreciated.
Thank you. We'll be back Monday. It's just business. Thank you, Coca. This is nothing personal.